Hey guys, GrandLamb here. It's been a while. I think the last time I uploaded was like a month ago for some random locals tournament. I just wanted to post this video to show that I'm still alive and I just want to try some new content in a while. So this past weekend was the Richmond Regional for Crossover Breakers. I think there was 270 something players there. And it was a lot of fun actually. I enjoyed myself in most of the games. What I ended up ranking was the Fiendsmith Maliss deck. That deck is, while expensive, very fun to play. I got to borrow a few cards too and met a lot of old people I haven't seen in a while. I enjoyed myself. The purpose of this video is mostly just to go in depth of what the tournament was like, any tips and tricks and stuff I learned from it, and future related events. So just going over my personal results more, it was 9-round tournament. I went 7-2 and got 15th place overall, so just missing out barely on that top 8 finish. Most of the people I saw there were playing Maliss. I saw a few Ryzeals, but most of them were actually, like, that finished in top tables were in top 8, so that's cool. All the people playing Maliss, deck's fun, but everyone's just playing different variants. I felt like I could count the number of people playing the same deck as me, personally, so I'll get into that a little bit later. Yeah, I mean, it was definitely fun. Ryzeal is far and away the best deck right now. Maliss needs a lot of work, and unfortunately Lancia and Nib are both killers versus deck. You have a lot of lines to deal with Nibiru, but you can't really deal with Nib plus another hand trap sometimes. And then the Mulch armies are also kind of killer. I've gotten hit by the Mulch army Fuaros like 4 or 5 times, I can count, actually, and Nib 4 or 5 times. Lancia also was about the same amount, but it's just brutal when you have to deal with all of them together consecutively. So here's the list I played this weekend. It's basically just your standard Fiendsmith Maliss deck core. I think a guy named Nico played in like a German Open or something like that. I mostly got the list from him after trying it a bit for a week and basically solidified it around this level. The deck is pretty straightforward. You bait out cards and hand traps with Fiendsmith cards and then play off with Maliss cards right afterwards, but Maliss cards can also bridge into Fiendsmith cards in addition to doing the full combo, which I'll get into a little bit. The side deck is mostly just generic stuff, like Lancia is for the mirror obviously, Perillia is for Ryzeal, Nib is for a mirror match or any rogue decks, Mistaken Arrest is for Ryzeal, and D-Bear is also for Ryzeal. Fortunately, I only played versus one Ryzeal, so most of these did not go in. Nibiru and Lancia were in most of the time. Perillia is very good versus rogue decks in addition to Fuwa. I almost always had at least one of them going second, which greatly increased my odds of winning the game. Usually most of the time they either bait out Ash Blossom, which I'm fine with that because that's just a less hand trap or disruption I can't see on my turn, which mattered. Everyone and their mother is playing Fiendsmith cards right now, so I think the 4 Bestials were the correct choice, and I actually agreed with it. I think the entire 40 card main deck was actually perfect this tournament. I do not think I would change a single card. The 3rd Cheshire Cat used to be in this deck, and I replaced that for Valor, which came out multiple times. I never missed the 3rd one. Fiendsmith cards, like, they aren't Maliss cards, and that's the weakness of the deck, is that just not seeing the Maliss name, but they make up more than enough for it in general. I think for my side deck, I might have changed it more to accommodate the mirror match a lot. I did not expect this level of Maliss players. Most of the time, I thought I was just going to either play Ryzeal or Maliss. I ended up just playing mostly Maliss and then rogue decks with one Ryzeal. And my extra deck, I actually do have a few changes I want to make. I used to play Typhon in Access Code, and I replaced it for Caesar and Princess. During this tournament, I think I made Caesar like a total of 1 or 2 times. And Princess, I made more time just to get the free draw off of it. Unfortunately, you can't really play Princess by itself without Caesar, so I'm just going to probably cut both for back to Typhon. If I had Typhon, I feel like one of the games I lost might have just been winnable in general, so that's just a deck builder error on my part. So the main question is, why would I play Fiendsmith Maliss over any of the other variants? In comparison, there's many different types of Maliss builds. There's Pure, there's Kashtira, there's Sky Striker, and then there's a newly popped up one called Azamina. I mean, they all have their own pros and cons, really, but I believe Fiendsmith was the best option for this tournament specifically because everyone is just prepared to play Lancia versus you, and that's the biggest thing, and that's what both my losses actually were to, is Lancia. When it comes to pros and cons, though, I feel like Fiendsmith has the best amount of pros and cons in his favor. For instance, yeah, of course, Lancia is the biggest one. You can play through it, but it also forces out like 1 to 2 different hand traps. Most of the time, like just dealing with the engraver by itself opener, your opponent has to spin like 1 or 2, and then if you ever get the sequence, like for instance, and you have a Maliss normal summon, you're just so far ahead of your opponent. Something not as known is that you can bridge into the Fiendsmith cards with any of your 1-card Maliss starters. Unlike the other 3 variants, you actually cannot do that. Dormouse and Rabbit specifically can play into it. I will have the combo on screen probably when I'm talking about this. But Dormouse into Rabbit, summon, set the trap card, turn it into Moon, do the whole combo. Even if you're locked, as long as you put the Lacrima and the Engraver and Requiem into your graveyard during the combo, you'll have the Paradise on your turn, so that's an extra disruption for the low cost of just having the 1 extra card, and you have Grind extra. So you'll end up having the Haggard Lizard afterwards, because you end up on the exact same amount of monsters. You only do this if you're like have an extender that can banish the Maliss monster in your graveyard you started with, or you just have any way to play through it. You don't care about the nib at that point. And because Haggard can take tokens, you can do a lot of different cute stuff like this. It's still full combo through it, you just have to change up your lines and thinking when someone hand traps you, obviously. So, just a quick rundown on what my matchups were for the day. Round 1 was Sharks, where I 2-0'd Maliss. Round 2, which is 2-1. Round 3 was Azmina Horus Orcus, which is someone from my locals. I 2-1 that one. Round 4, I took my first loss against Fiendsmith Rizio, which I believe the player got actually top 4. It was the Australian player. He was cool, really cool. I just didn't open anything, and I lost to Lancia. Final round, Caesar Lancia. Round 5, I won. It was versus Fiendsmith Kashtira Horus. I 2-0'd that. Round 6 was Sky Striker Maliss. I 2-0'd that one. That one was like a 43-minute game 1, actually, and I had a very funny story about that. The board on screen, I actually built the end board, but then I ended up almost losing that game because he broke it with just Maliss cards and Striker cards, which just, wow, insane. Thankfully, our end board is not as FTK as people think it is. That or I played badly, who knows, either way. You never know when the game's actually over. Round 7, I played versus the mirror match, Fiendsmith Maliss. I lost that one 1-2, and you could guess it was Nibbler plus Lancia. I cannot beat that with my opening hand that game. Lancia is a very strong card, even if you open the graveyard sometimes, but you can't beat Nib after that. It's what happens. Round 8, I played versus Tempai Kashtira Fiendsmith, which I learned was a deck at that exact round. And then round 9, I played versus Sky Striker Maliss. And I won't even lie, I sacked him very hard. I opened probably the best possible hand I can open all tournament and got rewarded for it. So that just happens. That's Yu-Gi-Oh! So in this last section, I just want to talk about any tips and tricks I learned actually from this tournament or saw other people doing that I felt came up a lot. I played, I think, 4 or 5 mirror matches, and something I noticed really quickly is that a lot of the opponents did not know the Maliss monsters gave protection effects, even though we were playing the same deck. They are pretty important. All 3 main deck effects have different effects they give to when like monsters point to them. The yellow one has an effect to stop them from all dying by card effects, so if you're afraid of something like Excitonight, for instance, you can normal summon it or special summon it and protect it from Excitonight from blowing up. It'll die, but the Link monster won't die. Rabbit has the effect to stop battle damage, so if you feel like you're gonna die and someone attacks over your monster, you won't take damage from it because Rabbit is there. And then Cheshire Cat, which actually came up I think twice this tournament, was very funny for dealing with Druid's Worm and other stuff. Cheshire Cat's effect is when it points to by a Link monster, it makes it so that that monster banishes the monster it kills by battle. What happened in the tournament, which I guess I'll point out now also, is that the mouse effects also work for your opponent's monsters, and since we played 4 mirror matches, it came up a few times. I had to crash my Link monster into their Link monster, but since they were pointing to my Cheshire Cat, my Link monster got banished, and since all the mouse effects work in damage step, I got to summon him back and do a whole bunch of extra stuff. It was really cute. To complement that, that also means that TB11 also works for this. TB11 summons a monster from deck, and you can't activate the effects and it can't attack, but it doesn't negate the effect, so any continuous effect also applies. So in this situation, like, going back to Excitonight example, they activate Excitonight, you can chain TB11 to summon Dormouse from deck. Your Dormouse will die, but the Link monster that was pointing to it just doesn't die, it stays there on the field, which came up also once. Or it came up for Access Card also, which was really nice. Speaking of access code, we can talk about the extra deck monsters. Access code in particular, if it's negated by like Veil or Imperm, you can basically just permanently or infinitely keep banishing like monsters from the graveyard. It only cares about if you banish a monster on resolution for the attribute lock, so since it's negated, it doesn't actually apply anymore, and you just keep banishing Maliss like monsters for that, which triggers their effects and of course puts extra bodies on field. Just something you should know. Cryptor works while being negated. This one's basically obvious because it tells you on the card, but I've also seen people just not chain like a body or Bestial or something like an Imperm on a Cryptor when it's not pointing to anything. And it just drives me insane. I can't believe that's happening in 2024. Glorious year of Maliss. Whatever. And then finally, Maliss and Underground. After it gets belled, you of course can just activate a new one because it's just based on activations. Bell negates activations. It's not like Ash, meaning if you have 2 Maliss and Underground, you just activate a second one, banish it out. And finally, sorry about that, is Maliss does in fact have a time win con. GWC, if it fully resolves, you can just bring back White Binder and just gain 2300 life points and you'll be up, even if you spent 900 for all 3 Maliss effects. Yeah, that's basically it for this video. Congratulations to Oscar and Cisco for topping the event, and Froggy for somehow lucking his way into top 8 with Memento. Outside that, I'll see y'all. Oh yeah, apparently Soul Drain's at 3. That happened recently, I guess. Yeah, bye.